Welcome back to the Quayside Centre here in Sydney, the Australian Badminton Open 2024, Super 500 on the HSBC BWF World Tour. Next up here on the court one is Kenta Nishimoto, the 17th from Japan, takes on India's Kiran George. So quarterfinal spots in this half the draw still up for grabs. It's all Malaysian affair there at the top of your screen, and the winner of this match will take on either Sunjuvan or, as is quite likely the case, perhaps Li Zijia. That will be a tasty one. Cho Tien-chen is already through. He plays Lee Chia-hao, who disposed of Chico Orodui here on this court a little earlier on today. First up, Kenta Nishimoto. Next up, India's Kiran George. He has a habit of disposing of bigger name players. Done it in the past. Can he do that here today? First meeting between these two pairs.
Red or black? Black. Red for you. It's black. Court. Serve or receive? Receive. You will serve. Okay.
So a little quick warm-up here for the two players before we get things underway. Kenta Nishimoto, 29 years of age, 180 centimeters tall, currently 11th in the world. He is a former top 10 player. That was achieved in September of 2018. An Asian Games bronze medalist in that year as well. And on the World Tour, he's got a couple of titles to his name. Most recently, the Spain Masters, where he beat Kanta Tsuneyama. And in 2022 rather, the Japan Open. That's a Super 750. Great win there, beating Cho Tien-chen in the final. Enrico Asuncion, qualifier, he beat comfortably in just 34 minutes. And Australian Open, his best result was second round in 2022, so we'll be having to go one better here. Kiran George is 24, 174 centimeters tall. He's from the south of the country in Kochi, that's in Kerala, and he's not far away from his best ever ranking. Has won on the World Tour twice, both Super 100s, the Odisha Open in 2022, and last year the Indonesia Masters. Beat the Canadian Sheng Xiaodong in straight games as well, and his best result last year also in the second round. So both these players aiming to get to the quarters for the first time here at the Australia Open. What do you think of this one then, Aaron?
I think this one's pretty juicy. One of the ones everyone would be looking forward to today. Kiran, it would be great to think that along with the batch of Chinese Taipei men's singles players who are not Chou Tianchen, basically the others, this would be a good tournament to make a mark at. As I've been saying in the earlier parts of today's broadcast, sometimes you have to have the win and then the self-confidence comes. It doesn't matter what the win is. So to win or get to final at Super 500, something changes and you believe more, and then you see more things and you have more opportunities. Everything just snowballs. And we can actually see that in the career of Nishimoto. He was so close so many times.
Yes.
And then when he converted, I think his Super Series, yeah, there was more confidence. There was a change.
Kenta Nishimoto.
So it's not always about technical ability.
No, he has a habit of stretching things out as well, a bit like Kodai Naroka. So
Kiran George to serve. Level.
doesn't always kill things off as quickly as perhaps others might do.
Or at least we can say Nishimoto not afraid to work hard. So Kiran George surely must know that. That's like baseline understanding of playing Nishimoto.
Oh, what a lovely start here to the match. Kiran George, it's a point to win.
Such a pretty stroke as well.
That will set you up with the confidence. I like the way he's gone about things at the moment, Aaron.
Yeah, I think so too, because Kiran, I was watching him yesterday and I've watched some of his matches before as well, but not enough. So I'm really looking forward to seeing this unfold. How he has to translate, you know, a lot of good instincts from playing in a country where they have a tradition in men's singles, but using it against a player from another country, especially since he doesn't have as much, you know, international exposure as Nishimoto. But he's young, and that's that young energy that you have to take hold of and be playful, yet also, you know, mature.
I mentioned that both these men have not had the best of years so far. That's just out for Kiran George. First point on the board for Nishimoto. Coming into this tournament, he's won 8 out of 17 matches. Nishimoto's won 11 out of 23. He's now the standard bearer for Japanese badminton, isn't he? He's going to the Olympics.
Yes.
And not too long ago, you'd have put it all on one Kenta Momota.
That's right, a certain Kenta Nishimoto.
Yeah.
Who's retired.
Sadly retired after the Thomas Cup.
I am genuinely sad. That and
Well,
the
yes.
Sukamoljo retirement. Oh,
It's all happening,
much,
isn't it?
It's too much for me.
To handle in the last
That's
few
right.
months.
I need an ice cream, I think. Like, you just not see it anymore. They should have given me more notice. Like Andre Agassi, at least he told you a year before that he was going to retire. Blah, blah, blah. Then you could watch him.
Yeah, I think other factors really playing a part in both of those retirements.
Maybe for some Indonesians, Sukamoljos would be sadder because at least Kento had won a tournament not long before his retirement.
Yeah, the Career Masters.
Yeah.
It's been a while, isn't it, for the Minions. He's battled back nicely here, Nishimoto.
We should add the context that not having a great year in the Olympic qualifying year is, you know, something, because everyone's trying to get in.
Yeah.
4-3.
Yeah, absolutely. We look at, we'll start with Kiran George, looking at
Get ready to serve quickly.
his year. Oh, again, just delightful from Kiran George. Such 2 shots with just a softer touch from him.
That's right. It's very instinctive, which is nice. think Nishimoto would probably pride himself on not being deceived that often, so that's really something. Feather in Kiran's cap.
The first part of the year, Nishimoto, sorry, Kiran George's year, best performance was a quarter-final at the Indonesia Masters. He lost to Kunlavut quite convincingly. But he didn't really go deep in any other tournament. Swiss Open was the only other one.
I think when we look at the scores that you're looking at, the one that's quite revealing is he did well against Rasmus Gemke,
Yeah.
who's also known as a giant killer. So,
Sure.
Yeah.
6-4.
Yeah, went to 3 against Gemke, the quarters of the
Line judge, white
Swiss
card,
Open.
please. Line judge. Line judge.
So 2 quarterfinals.
White card, please.
His best of the year. Difficult when you're playing against such, you know, you're 35th in the world. It's tough. As for Kenta Nishimoto, well,
Thank you.
he had plenty of early exits this year. In the first part of it, he was really struggling.
He must have had good results in the previous parts of the 12 months to hold his ranking.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why.
I think Kiran's young, but I think he's not that young. This is the time to really make a mark. Not that he's not trying, but you know, for all factors to come together.
I think what helped Nishimoto was getting to the quarters of the Singapore Open. Super 750 helps his cause a bit. But that is the only one where he's advanced beyond the second round this year. And this presents a very good opportunity for him here at the Australian Open to be able to do that, doesn't it? Well, I think he's got his work cut out today for him.
Thank you.
And also, I'm sure it's on Kiran's mind, the thread that I mentioned to Jeevan just now, which is how hard does the Olympic player want to work, as in physically. I think they'll cognitively work really hard, you know.
It's got to be in the back of your mind somewhere, isn't it?
That's right. So you have, you know, a little bit more opportunity. Because they wouldn't want to get injured.
No, that's the thing. Next month, just over a month away.
And we know in badminton, it just takes a slip.
Yeah, that's the really difficult part for these players.
That's right. And the slip is something that's not in your control.
Someone was saying, was it yesterday or the day before, that the 3 types of players who are here, ones that want to try and push their seeding up for the Olympics, those that have a point to prove because they didn't go to the Olympics, and others seeing an opportunity here.
Yeah, that's the intro
Open.
to the magazine at at this tournament.
And it's certainly an opportunity for Kiran George, isn't it?
It's very much an opportunity for Kiran George. No matter what the outcome, the mindset should be, I want to take this one. I definitely want to take this one. I'm sure I can take this one. That's the mindset he has to go in with.
Yeah, it's been a nice positive approach from him so far. It is 7-all here. And that's the first time he has gone in front. Kenta Nishimoto.
So can Kenta, this is what I'm looking for, frustrate Kiran with too much consistent quality, like just getting it back?
Yeah, he's an attritional player, isn't he?
That's right. You'd have to be, you know, pulling off lots of brilliant shots in a row to kill off Kenta.
Yeah, then he decides
9,
he's got his opportunity there, Nishimoto, and he takes it.
Change shot.
What have you made of the conditions here, and for singles especially, in terms of drift?
I think it doesn't change from year to year. I'm sure we should let the players speak for themselves, but I guess Bitting Ho said it the best. It's just perfect conditions. It's yeah. It's not perhaps the most memorable conditions as far as, you know, if you played in other stadiums like Malaysia or Indonesia where you really felt like you were alive. But as far as, you know, calm conditions, this is really as good as it gets. Small stadium, good echo,
Yeah.
good lighting, not a lot of drift. Super 500, maybe viewers don't know that there's extra regulation on the kind of lights. Even though we've had Super 300 here, the regulation's different, so the lighting's even better.
Yeah, I think after the conditions we've had in
8-9.
pretty windy arenas like
Indonesia,
Singapore,
Malaysia,
Indonesia,
the three.
the last three, this is very calm in that sense, very different.
9-0.
But really for the players, it's significant, but it's just one less thing on your
Yeah,
mind. So
correct.
you still have to do the job.
Yeah.
That's
Nicely
really
done.
nice. Very nice. That slice, just pulling it a little bit
Shot's
shorter
over.
than what Kiran thought it would be.
10-9.
He's playing some nice shots, Kenta Nishimoto.
He does have good reach. He's not Victor,
No.
but he does have extra reach.
Play.
Back in front, Kenta Nishimoto.
Serve's
He
over.
knew it, Nishimoto, when he hit that shot.
10-0.
Too short.
Yeah, that was going to get punished.
Yeah, not even half court.
And we've got a match on our hands at the moment. Just a little long, and so we go into the interval here with Nishimoto leading by only one against Kiran George in the opening game. 11-10 to Kenta Nishimoto. So gone just wide there for Nishimoto. Just winced at that shot.
11.
We're not seeing too much side drift either, are we here?
No, not too much. Really, I think he knew that that was from his fingers that he hit it out.
A couple of very quick points here for George. Who's now back in front. This one is seesawing back and forth, Aaron.
In the back of my mind, this is just for me to amuse myself and to just keep thinking, but Kiran plays very different to Lakshya. Lakshya's always forcing the agenda.
Yes. So 3 in a row for Kiran George. Against a man who's won 61 second round matches, lost 40 of them. Kiran George nowhere near as experienced.
That was over. 12-13.
It's 11 wins and 14 losses at this level. It's not a lot that he can get through at this level in terms of the World Tour.
Kiran doesn't look phased by this level, though.
No, he doesn't. You're right.
And I think that's important because to be let out of the country to play this level, you can't assume. State of mind for any badminton player at any level is so important. Because it just comes and goes. What you want to do is you want to train yourself for it to just come, stay, maintain. Sometimes it takes technique, sometimes it's genetically you're more predisposed, which makes life really easy. But most of us have to use some kind of technique. A little bit like how tennis players, Nadal, Lendl, they like toss the ball a lot and bounce the ball a lot, just to keep your mind not thinking about the other thought that's going to distract you. Very good early read on the shot, Kiran George.
Well, I mentioned him beating some top players in the past. You mentioned Lakshya Sen, who's actually one he has beaten. And that was here.
That's impressive.
That was here as well. In the opening round of last year, when he was 55th in the world. Lakshya Sen was then number 11. He's also beaten Shi Yuqi, who's now, of course, the world number 1. Last year, he beat him at the Thailand Open. He was number 9 in the world.
Which is why, to some degree, I'm hoping to see more from Kiran. There must be more to this. There must be more to him. He must have more dimensions.
Well, that would almost indicate you're not seeing enough yet?
I'm not seeing enough yet. I'm seeing lots of good stuff, but I'm not seeing enough yet.
Yeah, the thing with Nishimoto is you can throw whatever you want at him and he will kind of absorb it and take it on and drag it out if he has to. And he may not even win this first game, but I don't think he'll be that unfazed by it necessarily.
That's right.
It's almost par for the course with him.
I mean, a player we don't see anymore, but who used to be really hard to kill was Son Won-ho. I remember watching Son Won-ho. I'm sure not everyone is a fan of Son Won-ho, but when you go back and revisit his game, Son Won-ho can do a little bit of everything, and he's actually really fast when it counts. But when he's injured, it's like trying to kill a cockroach. It's just really difficult. Like, he just gets everything back.
Yeah, we've got another similar sort of player in Kodai Naraoka on later on. Playing Kantapon.
But I don't want viewers to go away with the opinion that Nishimoto is anything like Son Won-ho. But yes, Nishimoto is still hard to kill in different ways.
get it over.
Couldn't get it over.
And I think if he did, he might have been in problems there, Nishimoto.
100%. So
Unlucky there for the Indian player.
16.
He's huffing and puffing. He's had a bit of a sit down as well.
I love the HSBC seat. I love seeing the players sit on it, like Go Liu Ying. Muhammad Hassan always has a sit down.
Well, fair enough, I think, in Hassan's case.
Fair enough, that's right. But I like how one sits and the other one doesn't.
Yeah.
Back on board.
Yeah, it's funny. Nishimoto is one of those that looks absolutely shattered. Even when we're not that deep into a match, kind of like now, but he just has this, he has just huge reserves within him.
That's right. I think you need to know your own body.
Correct.
And second wind and third wind for some players.
We talked about Kurniawan's languid approach. There's almost sometimes this false sense of security. Oh, maybe I've got them on the ropes. Kind of a rope-a-dope method, but actually they're fine.
They're fine, that's right. It's dangerous to play these kind of players because, where they know themselves really well. And their only goal is to play at their optimum.
Right.
16-0. Nishimoto-san, I make that call, yeah.
I had a quick word there, I think. That's beautifully done. Cross court from Nishimoto.
16.
Guess what? He's after a little sit down. He's just looked a little sharper.
Wipe the court, please.
I think Kiran in that rally, so many good things if you look at it from a training perspective, so much good balance, but left the rally very long to not take initiative, obviously. Kenta must have thought, well, I might as well.
Well, that's the thing. He's quite happy to rally as much as possible.
I think Kiran is looking, but that rally, he didn't bait anyone. He's not. I thought he could be maybe. I wanted to see a side where he's a little bit more playful. Let's say like Li Jijian, not 100%, but you know, you want that
where you want to take your chances.
You want to take your chance. Yeah.
And I would think against a Nishimoto type of player, since he's quite happy to grind it out, you might want to just take the initiative a bit more.
That's right.
That would be the conventional thinking, right?
That's right. And there were many safe opportunities to take because his read is still early enough, Kiran, on the game.
Now, this has been a very good period for Kenta Nishimoto.
But this is what it's like to be human. You make your decision in that moment. It's not a scripted movie.
4 points in a row for this man here. Well, he was defending for a bit there. Might have been on the ropes, but it's Nishimoto who comes out on top. Couldn't finish it off, could he,
No,
Kiran George?
Couldn't. I like the forcing of the agenda in that one. It just was in that whole unnatural because we're getting scoreboard pressure, so I have to do it.
Right. And also that run is probably in the back of his mind because Nishimoto's built up a head of steam, hasn't he?
That's right.
Remember, it was 14-16 just a short while ago. 5 in a row for Nishimoto. Has it made it? No, it only just. He's going to challenge it anyway. I think that's a bit of a hopeful one, but hey, it gives him another drink and a sit down maybe.
That's right. I think importantly, with all of these challenges, yes, there's a variety of reasons. One that doesn't come up that often is that In badminton, you're using
Challenge
strength to
unsuccessful.
hit, so your judgment is
One
really based on
challenge
strength. You're not
remaining.
actually looking at it the way
Back on board.
we're looking down at it. That's not how he's aiming. He's aiming with the strength of his fingers,
Right.
and the shot's going up and then it's
Serve is
going down.
over.
So yeah, a challenge sometimes tells you
17-19.
later on,
Nishimoto's
I
on-
needed
on court.
to be, more strength or less strength on my fingers. That's really important.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to mind losing that one. I think he already knew that was probably a lost cause. But it's been a fine run here from
Play.
Kenta Nishimoto.
Thank you.
Does come to an end.
Thank you.
I suspect at least 60% or 70% Nishimoto thinks he knows his man for the moment. Nothing's particularly changed throughout this first game.
Well, he's
19.
clawing his way back in here.
Thank you.
Just a point in this. Well, well. Kiran George now embarking perhaps on a run of his own. 3 in a row. Looked like Nishimoto was on the home stretch of this opening game. Maybe not now.
I think likewise, Kiran also feels like he knows his man. I mean, if you could know anyone, there's so many videos of Nishimoto. Surely you would know his game inside out from study.
Nishimoto
Serve's over.
puts that one away and sets up game point here.
20. Game point. 19.
Yeah, we made the point before Nishimoto, as tired as he looks, you see in a crucial moment, he knows he can
Point score.
accelerate somehow. And he accelerated there with his wristy shot.
Right.
But
She's coming. Yeah. The feather here, the big feather. The big feather. That one, yeah. Thank you. Back on court.
Yeah, Nishimoto quite often gets hurried along by officials.
2019. Play.
Remember at the side Modi at the end of last year, he was frustrating many a person with his, I won't say antics, but just eating up time.
right. Yeah, they're getting, I'm sure it's in their brief. Yeah, there's a crackdown. It's quite obvious.
So still game point here for Kenta Nishimoto. That's again the round ahead shots today.
That one.
It's just sublime, isn't it? From Kiran George. We've
Yeah.
seen 3 or 4 today from him.
We've seen 3 or 4. It's a combination of the technique is good and the choice at that moment
Oh.
is good.
Just so nice.
And he's spreading them out so that
Yeah.
it's not that obvious.
Right.
Yeah.
A bit more here to the side.
Well, I'll tell
Next to
you
the line there, yeah. Thank you.
how Kiran George in the second game and how he had to change things up last year when he was going through sort of a similar slump to what he's experiencing at the moment. The
20
second
all.
half of 2023.
Play.
Right now, he might be the one who could celebrate this opening game. Let's see what happens Very tight. Half an hour on the board already. Whips that back, Nishimoto.
21-20.
His second game point here, Kenta Nishimoto. Oh, and he does get there eventually. Kenta Nishimoto
Kenta Nishimoto, 22-20.
in a tight first game that swung back and forth. But it was that little surge, wasn't it? 14-16 down that kind of set him up.
That's right. And Nishimoto really trusting that experience that, well, haven't seen him hit that hard. His hardest hit can only be so hard. Can manage the defense.
So, great start in the end. Kenta Nishimoto takes the first game 22-20 against Kiran George. So Kenta Nishimoto takes that opening game. I mean, he was the favorite coming into this against Kiran George. Now, Kiran George had a bit of a poor slump last year, so he did a couple things. He changed his diet. He admits he loves his curries and biryani. Who doesn't? I'm certainly one of those, but I'm not a professional athlete any longer, so I can indulge. He can't. He had to change all that. And he also enlisted the help of a sports psychologist, because a lot of his peers were beginning to go well ahead of him. And it resulted in his second World Tour win, the Indonesian Masters, the Super 100. I'd be curious to know if he reverted to type and whether he maintained the things that he did in the second half of last year.
Yeah, we'd have to ask him, really.
I'd be very curious to know.
But I enjoyed that insight because that was something I was wondering. He's 24 and he's doing well, but he does have peers who are, you know, surging as well.
Lakshya Sen, Mithun Manjunath, Priyanshu Rajawat.
Yeah, especially him and Priyanshu. I think the comparisons will be often because they're behind Lakshya, so they're the next picks, really.
He's also been apparently working on, well, last year he was working on his defense a lot.
And it shows. I think you definitely need to work on your defense in the modern men's singles game.
Comes from a strong badminton family. His father was a national champion at men's singles and doubles. Mother was a state level player. Elder brother Arun also has played on the circuit, so
it's in the blood.
It's in the blood.
Wonder what they talk about at dinner.
Do you think that at some points they'll be like, can we try and talk about something else? Can we not talk shop? Isn't it? And if there was to be any kind of drift, there's a little bit coming from this end, is there? from this closer end?
There's nothing. There's not.
Is it almost negligible for you?
Well, I haven't seen much evidence.
Okay.
Yeah.
4 love.
That's the kind of start that you might expect of a world number 11 against a world number 35.
That's right. I'm thinking we don't need air conditioning because we're in winter.
No, you don't. And I can tell you what, this has certainly been the coldest country I've been to on the circuit since
Time's over. 1 court, please.
India in January.
And for the viewers, it's air conditioning that contributes a lot to drift.
Correct.
And opening of doors.
And so any European players here would be very much at home at the moment
1-4.
because none of their venues, of course, and most of their tournaments are held in the spring or winter months. They certainly have no air conditioning going on, much less heating. I've certainly been in some very cold venues.
Well, the Korea Open during its Super Series era used to be played in January.
Yeah, I was watching I was working on a Korea Masters last year in November, I think it was. And
That would be cold.
Service
Yes, it
over.
was.
5-1.
Yeah, this is the last of the Asia Pacific tournaments. We move to the United States and Canada after this.
Are you amazed at how much time it takes to travel between Indonesia and Australia? We're neighbors, but
Yeah,
the
still-
flight doesn't quite work like that.
No, well, it depends on what part of Indonesia, but you're right, from Jakarta, it takes quite a lot of time. Certainly,
And the time zone difference is quite a lot.
yeah, it is. So there's quite a few adjustments that players have to make. Then again, from here to the United States as well. But there is a bit of a gap. Where do you think it's not quite going so right for Kiran George in the second game, Aaron?
I think he's just not in the flow. Surprisingly, because he was, you know, for all the evaluation that we did, he was still solid in his bread and butter shots and his balance as well. But I have faith in the young man. I think there's more dimensions in him.
Certainly one of the longer rallies we've had in a while. Suddenly playing a lot of clears.
Yes, that's right.
I don't know where, haven't seen so many of those. Oh, this is in real danger running away from Kiran George, isn't it?
He must have snapped the string.
Yeah.
Just trying to just sustain.
7 points now. It's starting to become a problem, perhaps.
On court.
Well, if he has to do something, it should be now, Kiran George. Otherwise, it's just going to be a step too far, you
8-1.
feel.
Play. Service
What I'd
over.
like to see Kiran do, which I haven't really seen
2-8.
yet, is to
Kiran.
slightly, and more often pull Nishimoto out of position when it's not a winner and not a deception. Otherwise, you're just waiting to for those two occasions, a deception,
Service over.
or he was out of
So
position.
you want to see something a bit more proactive?
9-2.
Yeah, just a little bit more proactive from that, because he can read the shuttle early. And it could be risk-taking. It could be a harder shot.
A big shot there from Kenta Nishimoto. When he generates the power,
10-2.
can be difficult to withstand.
That's right, Nishimoto, we mustn't forget, he's very well conditioned.
Interval.
Well, that's been excellent from Kenta Nishimoto. Very, very good from him. Clinical. Not a word that sometimes is used with him, but it's 11-2 at the interval of this second game. You know, he looked pretty confident in large parts of that first game, Kiran George.
11-2.
Seems to have kind of almost run out of steam
Play.
in the second.
It's a mystery.
Just wondering.
We could tell from the footwork in that very long rally where he wasn't willing to, crouch as much,
Service
let
over.
alone all the drop shots and clears.
3-11.
It's only the third point of this second game. Given how close that last game was, and there are no difficult conditions in here to combat on a specific end. It's interesting to see just how much of a gulf there is at the moment. Look at that.
Service over. 12.
Yeah.
Now, why has he apologized for that? Nishimoto. Was there a bit of a fluky shot?
I didn't think it was a fluky shot.
No. But that's twice he's apologized now. Have a look here. Oh, it clipped the net earlier. I can't be that. Interesting, right?
Interesting. That's right.
Couldn't see anything obvious there as to why he would do that.
Play.
At least not from those replays.
No.
Yeah, I wonder if it's something we can't see about Kiran that's affecting him.
You feel there's a massive change from the first
There's
game.
a massive change. There's a massive change because you can see him trying in the rally until such point as he doesn't try at an unusual point in the rally.
This is all going very nicely
George challenges.
for Nishimoto. There is a challenge here
Wait the court, please.
from George. I thought that was out on initial viewing.
Trajectory-wise, it looked like it was more likely, and Kiran needed a break.
Yep, as we thought.
Challenge unsuccessful. One challenge remaining. 14-3. Play.
In badminton's rally point system, 21 points, which hasn't been around forever, it's just unforgiving. If you were playing tennis, you could, potentially just coast if you're not feeling well.
Right.
Or even in 15-point system, if you are of a equal enough quality, you could, last for a little while and see whether you feel better in a little while, but not in 21 points.
That's going to be put away. That was, you could see immediately, just not enough height and depth on that one. Easy for Nishimoto. And this one looks pretty settled, doesn't it, already? 12 points the lead. Ooh, that is about wayward a shot as you'll have seen today
16-3
from Kiran George.
And it's not a sweet shot as well from Kiran.
No.
So yeah, something's distracting him.
Oh, that's just put away again beautifully.
17-3.
Nishimoto in the zone at the moment. He's being ruthless here.
And despite not having a coach overlooking this game for Nishimoto, I'm sure he's picked up on that change in Kiran.
This has been one of the most one-sided games we've seen. There've been a few today, but this one right up there. It's a rare bit of respite for Kiran George,
17.
who needs an almighty comeback here. Now, it's quite funny, one of his teammates, Samir Verma, was up against the man playing next to us, Lee Zijia, at the Thailand Open. I think it was something like 15 or 16 points trailing.
5-17.
And went on to win a game against Lee Zijia.
But Samir is a fighter.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm not saying Kiran's not a fighter, but Samir is like really obviously a fighter.
But that, I mean, that is something very exceptional. Lee Zijia had 6 match points, if I'm not mistaken. Not even game points, match points. And then Samir went on to win the whole thing. Can't see that happening here.
No, can't see it this time.
And I think we should give credit as well to Nishimoto, who's actually playing some very good stuff.
5.
He's being Nishimoto.
Yes.
Please.
Well, he's almost there, Kenta Nishimoto.
Thank you. Back on court.
The good thing is, if there's a good thing of having so many tournaments, is Kiran will live to fight another day. He will play
Yes,
Nishimoto,
19-5.
very likely.
he's got to look at the positives of that. But I'm afraid it does continue a not so great year for him. And if he goes on to lose this, as is quite likely the case, that'll be 9 wins and 10 losses so far in 2024. Well, he's had a number of big winners in the second game, Kenta Nishimoto,
6.
and he's got a whopping 14 match points.
Game.
So it's done. Kenta Nishimoto, absolutely clinical in this second game after a very, very tight first one. Your final thoughts on this match, Aaron?
I think there was potential. Guaranteed there was potential. And I like the fact in the end, I'll just underline something I said before, which is Kiran knows what he's up against. He can manage it. He just needs to find a solution. We just didn't see a solution. But as far as tempo, he's up there.
Thank you very much, Aaron, for your insight and analysis today. It's been a pleasure working with you. Kenta Nishimoto, it's been a pleasure for him, I'm sure, as well. The 17 from Japan beats India's Kiran George 22-20, 21-6. He's done it in 48 minutes. So we are 6 matches down, 2 left to go in our live coverage here at the HSBC BWF Australia Badminton Open Sydney 2024. And we now have a men's doubles match, a mixed pair from Australia and Korea. Courting one, Yan and Lee Jae-sun take on the Daddies, the second seeds from Indonesia, Muhammad Hassan and Hendria Setiawan. Just looking